You know, the old man that shanked him should have done a better job. He said that, but he said he shanked him because not because he didn't know what he'd done then. You know, kind of like me.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Man, I want to thank everybody for their support and everything. Love they've showed this channel. It's been growing fast lately. But anyway, I want to talk today about this guy I met at the walls called Roby. What made me think of Roby was the last video I did about this guy who attacked his CO. That was his nephew, and I said something about, you know, I was in prison with his at Missouri State Penitentiary with his uncle. Well, that was Roby. I ain't gonna say the last name or anything. Anyway, Roby had been there since the 70s, since like 75 or something. I didn't know that at the time when I first met him, but he was trying to talk to me, and all these old heads that was schooling me on how to do time and stuff. So, man, stay away from that dude, man. He's a rat. He's a snitch. He'll snitch on you. And he said he also steals fans from the property room and takes them around and sells them to people. You can't do that nowadays, but back then you could get away with a lot more stuff at the Missouri State Penitentiary, MSP. And so I told him, I said, well, I done bought a fan from him. They just shook their heads. I said, well, never mind about that, but just stay away from him because, you know, he's a snitch. And he kept trying to talk to me and everything. And I was telling him, I don't want to get in there. He goes, you listening to all those guys telling you that I'm a snitch? I said, hey, man, I more and more than saying it. They said, well, you can't just go off. He's kind of right about that. You just really can't go off what some people were saying, but I trusted these guys. They've been good to me so far. Anyway, I get out, and there's this, I had a subscriber for a while. I think he's passed. But he real old, and he'd done time in the 70s. I think he got out in the late 70s. But he knew Roby, and he told me, he said, dude's a snitch, man. And he goes, I put a piece of steel in him because of that. He goes, also, he's no good. He's got bad paperwork. So I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna have to look up and see what his paperwork is. Now, I looked him up. He's from St. Louis. He was living with this other woman. He wasn't married to her, and that woman had children. One day there was a baby crying. He picks it up, shakes it, throws it in a closet, and well, you can guess what happened. He and that woman, I don't know what happened to the woman, and some other people take it over to Illinois side to bury it. They couldn't find a place to hide it, so they came back and they went down to DeSoto, Missouri, and they buried it by this creek. Roby, from what it said, what I read, is originally from DeSoto, Missouri. They went back the next day because they said it could be identified. So they dug it up and made it so it couldn't be recognized. As I'm reading this, I'm getting madder and madder. And the nerve of this guy to even try to talk to me. No wonder everybody avoided it. It says he got 100 years. But it's partly from his own confession. They, basically what they did was they interrogated him, and he admitted to a lot of stuff. I don't know if he said that others had anything to do with it or anything, but they had, in the evidence room, in the interrogation room, they had everything that he used, shovels, like a hatchet and a pew-pew. So when they get to court, his lawyer brings this up and said, man, you know, the interrogation was done wrong and everything, and they were showing the evidence, which is they shouldn't have done. You know, they had it in the interrogation room with him. I don't care. I personally don't care. I'm glad he got 100 years, just the way I feel about it. This guy walked, and I'm, you know, the old man that shanked him should have done a better job. He said that, but he said he shanked him because not because he didn't know what he'd done then. You know, kind of like me. He just knew that he was a snitch, and they just snitched on him or something, so he shanked him. But Roby used to go around telling people that there was like a swimming pool. To me, it looked like a watering trough. Not much bigger than a watering trough. He said, you know, that swimming pool down there, I built that. That's nothing but a watering trough. I said, about the size of the watering trough we got on our farm. He goes, you can swim in it. I said, I ain't swimming in that. Ain't no room to swim in that, especially with all those boys in it. You could walk by this swimming pool and you had all these boys. You know, that's what we called it. Anyway, they just tell you, come on in, the water's fine. No, I'm not getting in a watering trough, especially with y'all. I didn't want to get in water with anybody, man. You know, it's a violent place the way it was, and then you're going to get in a place where somebody could do you in with use the water as a weapon. Anyway, that's the story about Roby. A lot of people know him, it seems like. You know, ex-cons that spend a lot of time know him. All of them say bad things about him. There's nothing good to say about him. And when I got to Farmington and I seen this guy I was telling you about, I said, hey man, are you related to Roby? He goes, Roby's my uncle. Well, I would talk to him from time to time, but I kind of stayed clear of him just because of his uncle. You know, and if you watch that video, you'll see where I talk about he snapped. Had a list of who he was going to, of all the staff members he was going to take out and everything. So I kind of stayed away from him, you know. And and really the only time I talked to him is when he came up to me and would say something, you know. He'd want to borrow a bag of coffee, something, and he paid me back, you know. But his uncle, no good at all. Anyway, that's all I got for you, and I thank you for watching.